Okay, we're going to move on now and talk about the world of mobile again, and something that has a very positive spin. And we want to talk about the world going mobile, challenges and opportunities to do that. We've got a 45-minute discussion planned for you, and I'm going to be joined by Stefan Auerbach and Timo van Lepel. Gentlemen, could you please come out? They're on this side. Come on.
Hi.
Hi. Come. Hi.
All right.
Hi. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Take a seat.
Thanks.
Seat. So, what we've been doing today is we've been doing this like corporate retreat approach where we kind of tell who we are and what we do. So, I'll let you start.
Yeah. My name is Timo van Lepel. I'm at Telefónica Germany, responsible for our business customers. So everything for their mobile needs, fixed net needs, IT needs, which we are covering with Telefónica Germany.
Okay, very good.
Good. Stefan Auerbach. I'm the head of Lufthansa's airline IT subsidiary, Lufthansa Systems. We are serving basically more than 300 airlines in the area of IT, and happy to be here.
It's good to have you gentlemen with us here. We've been talking for years about mobile technology and how it is a game changer, how there are incredible opportunities with mobile technology. But what's new right now about mobile technology? What has not been said that should be said? Stefan.
So if you look at the airlines markets in terms of serving passengers, I think there is one thing which cannot be ignored, and that's the rapid pace of the use of smartphones, in particular smartphones. So basically a question to the audience, do you know how many toothbrushes are out there in the market? Any idea?
How many toothbrushes?
Toothbrush.
Yeah?
No, it's 4 billion.
4 billion toothbrushes.
And the number of smartphones out there, 2015.
What do we think? Brian? 6 billion?
It's a little bit less, but you are close. It's 4.5 billion, but the 6 million will be reached very, very soon if you see the rapid pace in shipments and what's going to be sold to individuals. And also the willingness to stay connected is huge. So all the business travelers, more than 80%, want to be connected all the time. And this is offering tremendous opportunities also for airlines to offer digital services to their passengers, to improve passenger experience by mobile devices. This is a game changer. And on the other hand, if you look at the market, the growth in data transported via smartphones is growing by 69% from 13 to 14. And this is huge. So this is an indication that also these data might be used to improve passenger experience.
Yeah.
This is a new thing for the airlines.
Okay. Timo?
I was sitting on Monday on a panel, and I got the question, or we all got the question, please define digitalization. And they made very sophisticated definitions. And my definition was, digitalization is everything. And if I speak to my customers, to B2B customers, to the German Mittelstand, so actually every single part of their business is affected by this digitalization. It's the way how they communicate to their customers, is the way how they do their processes, is how they run their production. So everything is run with this digitalization. And now, and that's coming to your question, what I see is that we have this one big strand, and this is our industrial revolution, is the digitalization, and this combines more and more with the mobilization. The data is becoming mobile, the people are becoming more mobile, and what we see is customers, our customers, who combine this, who combine their digitalization with mobile processes and getting really mobile, are much more successful than other ones.
Okay. Which we've been hearing all week, right? If the more you commit to being mobile, the better your business prospects are. let's talk about the airline industry. How many people here use Wi-Fi when they're flying? Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, so it's the year 2015, and we've got 3 people in the audience who say that they use Wi-Fi when they're flying. Stefan, isn't that pathetic?
I would promise that you all will use it soon, but maybe most of the members of the audience had to arrive by train because of the strike.
How many people flew here? There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't work, Stefan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but Wi-Fi. We all are being used to use Wi-Fi in our own houses, apartments, and it's a technology which is available in every hotel, and mostly in all public spaces. Why not in the aircraft? And there's one issue. An aircraft is not a flying cloud data center. An aircraft is something which is really dependent on certificates because it's safety relevant, whatever you want to build into an aircraft. So to get a server and routers into an aircraft is not an easy task because you need power supply and stuff like that. Starting with power supply, you have 15 watts available if you go to the E&E department. And if you think about what computer can be run with 15 watts, it's not huge. So you really need to think about how to structure the server in order to have content which might be streamed then to passengers. It's not an easy task. I'm talking about Wi-Fi within the cabin, not about connectivity yet.
Right, okay.
But
so you're saying technologically it's not
it's
simple
a challenge. Yeah, so not everybody can do that. Although I'm not here to make marketing, but we have a solution flying on Lufthansa on 20 A321s, which is a Wi-Fi solution which offers the chance to stream online, to stream content, video and audio content, gaming, retailing, stuff like that. Technically, it's possible, although challenging. And I presume you also are focusing on connectivity. So when is the time when passengers are being able really to access the internet? And there are airlines which are using connectivity already. There are different solutions available. We have, first of all, a so-called KU band satellite connection, which is a low bandwidth solution. It's 10 to 20 megabit per second. And we have so-called KA technology available since 2014, which is 70 plus megabit per second. So it's available, and the capacity is growing. So we can expect very soon that we also in Europe will see airlines which are being connected via broadband.
But what is preventing it from being rolled out quickly? Because obviously the demand is there. So why are we in the year 2015 still talking about the fact that it's not there?
Satellites, so the two dominant providers, it's Inmarsat and Viasat, they have brought their satellites into the air since 2014. Inmarsat is bringing additional capacity within this year and in the next year. So the preconditions to have a broadband connection via satellite is new. Right, number one. Number two, the antennas in the aircraft. They are expensive. It's really complex technology, and the certification issue is a hurdle, which is being overcome now, but it's definitely delaying the process. So it's not so easy to get.
It's expensive. Is that going to mean when we do get it, though, that passengers are going to have to pay more for tickets?
This is very much dependent on the business models of the airline. I don't think so. I personally believe very much that you cannot really create a huge business case out of the connectivity. So maybe that some airlines increase ticket prices, maybe some charge for the access, or an access fee, or it's becoming a commodity which is being offered to any passenger.
But I mean, but you say that, but you say it's also expensive and the technology is not easy. So that can't be cheap, right?
No, somebody has to pay the bill.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
finally.
asking. Who's going to pay the bill? Is the airline, or are the passengers going to be asked to pay for the bill? I mean, there are so many surcharges on the tickets. I think a lot of people could imagine that on the ticket, let's say in the year 2017, there will be, along with the security surcharge, there'll be a connectivity surcharge.
As I said, it's a little bit depending on the airline's policy. So we are in talks with airlines who definitely want to offer that for an access fee.
Yeah.
And others are considering to offer that for free. And there are some airlines out there in the market, they've asked the providers, so I bring the pipe and all the valuable passengers, you have to make the investment.
Well, can you tell us now, Stefan, will Lufthansa offer it for free?
You should ask the CEO of Lufthansa, so I'm not eligible to make any statement.
Can you read his mind and tell me what you think he'll say?
I will not make any statement here on behalf of customers.
Okay, let me pull Timo in and ask him, Timo, why is it Telefónica jumping in and saying, hey, Lufthansa, let us be your provider. We can make a good business model out of this and actually maybe make some money.
I mean, the question you asked, and I mean, this is our vision, that we say people should have access to their network anytime, any place. Yeah? And we need to work out how we can provide it to Lufthansa in their airplanes. But what we think is much more important to provide it with the networks on the Earth, yeah, because most of the people are still there. And I mean, this is our vision, that really to build these autobahn for this digitalization, and to really give access to all people. And if you just think, I mean, we are here in Hanover at CeBIT, and I think we think that we are at the middle of the digitalization. But still, 2/3 of the world's population is not yet linked to the internet.
Yeah.
And I think this is the clear point that we are still at the start of this digital revolution.
But that can't be your justification for not getting Wi-Fi in an airplane, though.
Yeah, well, I don't use Wi-Fi in an airplane. Would be nice.
Well,
I have so much to do at the airplane. I'm not missing it there.
Let's do a flash poll. How many people would like to have connectivity the whole time they're in the air? All right, so that's almost everybody. Now, I have a theory, and I'll ask the audience maybe if you could tell me what you think about this. I think we haven't seen the airlines roll out this level of connectivity because the airlines enjoy being able to control the content that we do see while we're in the airplane now. Think about it. We see the movies that they offer, we see the television programs, but you are in control of the content that we see. That's a lot of power, isn't it, Stefan?
Yes, but then we have to distinguish simply. If you have full control over the content, you, as an airline, you are the one who is offering a certain set of movies. And this new technology will enable airlines to offer a lot more than is being offered in the traditional wired systems. But on the other hand, if you open let's say, a line to connectivity to the internet, you are not in control at all.
Right.
Yeah? You're not in control. If you do that, and that is what we all expect, that we want to access the sites we are interested in, you give up.
So you'd have to give that up, but a company like Telefónica would love to see you give up that control.
Could be, but that is definitely something. When we talk about business cases, so what kind of information is really valuable for the airlines? Really, sure. To look at the sites a certain passenger is looking at, or is it more, let's say, a competition between the content you are offering offline via Wi-Fi,
right,
compared to what is being offered via the connectivity channel?
Okay.
And I think if you really open, let's use the retail example. If you have a retail offering, like SkyShop or something like that, and you have Amazon available, so I think that is direct competition. They cannot control what the passengers actually doing here.
Yeah.
But this question of control,
Yeah.
that's something, not compared so much to Lufthansa, but that's something, if we think about this digitalization and mobilization, where I think there is still room for improvement. I mean, if you have your mobile number, you can take it with you when you change your operator, and I think this is a good one.
Yeah.
Because it's, I think, part of your personality that people know under this number I can get Brent.
Yep.
You can't do it, and I see it with my kids, how much they spend in iTunes, with all this music and apps they buy there. If they switch to another operating systems, everything is gone.
Right.
And that's something where I think, or if you try to connect from WhatsApp to another messenger, will not work.
Right.
And this is thing, I think, when we really think about digitalization, mobilization, that we have these interoperability and portability of our data, which owns to us, which I've paid for, and can transfer it with me regardless of the systems. And this is, I think, something where we still have room for improvement. And I think where we in Europe also need to make very clear that we want to have a playing field where it's not dominated by closed user groups.
Okay. Let's talk about what happens on the ground, Stefan. I know that we had talked in our conference call before today about the possibilities of helping passengers, helping the airlines before a plane ever takes off. Talk to me a little bit about that.
I think there are areas which are very known to all of us. It's whenever a disruption happens, so a flight is being delayed or cancelled, what to do. And mobile devices, they offer simply an access to the passenger to help him out in this situation, to inform him early enough, to offer alternatives, ground transport, for instance, if a flight is being cancelled, stuff like that. But even prior to the flight or the journey itself, think about vacation. If you really plan your next vacation, what are you really looking for? Do you already have a determined location, or do we all start with search? And I take my own example here. So next vacation, summer, I have 2 kids. I'm looking for a nice place, should be warm, there should be a beach, good restaurants, some sports activities, something like that. I'm not so much looking for a special place, I'm looking for an experience. And can you imagine if you have a smartphone and you give in 2 kids, sun, restaurant, good food, sports, and then you press a button, and then you really receive an offering, maybe by an airline, triggered by an airline. Could be Jamaica, and I've never thought of that place, but why this has been proposed, a set of restaurants and activities, stuff like that. If this recommendation is based on my social profile, and yeah, the offering then is being based on the shared experience other travelers have made in this regard. That is something which I'm definitely convinced which will come soon.
But that's giving like Lufthansa access to more personal data of its passengers, right?
I'm referring to his point. So it's some kind of a digital ID, which is then cross-domain a bit, which is a precondition really to do that. But I think that we have all the hassle with the issues here, changing mobile numbers.
Yeah.
This is now easy compared to what is happening in the digital world. But I'm sure that clever people will think about it and will solve it. So access to the passenger and using these devices as a tool for offering additional services, which are maybe a little bit bigger than simply the flight itself. And I think that is a value which will come. Another issue is definitely also using mobile technology also to generate information. So not so much the social profiling, which is being done by myself, but much more that I can use these devices as a marketing tool. There are airlines like Virgin Australia using their apps really to get a closer connection to their passengers. I'm not talking about spamming them with additional ads and so forth. It's simply they are publishing a lot of stuff via their app. It's easy, it's cheap, and they do it in a very clever way.
Yeah. What about on the ground in terms, I'm just trying to think of what your customers, your passengers, how maybe they could benefit from mobile technology. What about in reducing delays or dealing with flight cancellations, improving rebookings, for example. If a flight is canceled and then it has to be rebooked, why not have a process where that's done automatically, where I never have to talk to anybody?
Yeah, this goes beyond mobile, but it's an important point. So very, to a huge extent, this is done behind the curtain in the back-end system.
Yeah.
And let me share you a little bit with the history of airline IT. So we have, all the airlines have been great in building big silos, not talking to each other. And if you have a disruption, so many of these silos are being affected. And really to have a streamless flow of information and really to trigger certain decisions to be made to please the passengers is a very complex task due to the architecture, really the IT architecture behind the curtain. But more and more airlines are recognizing that they have to do something that also organization-wise to make machines and people talking to each other to come to more comprehensive decisions. And the passenger itself should not realize what kind of complexity is behind in the back-end system. Simply get, okay, I have rebooked you. I would propose the following flight. I have also taken care for a hotel or ground transport. This is exactly what the airlines are looking for right now.
Is that what you're working on?
Yes, that's what we are working on.
And when can we see something like that rolled out?
This will happen in the next couple of, let's say, months. I have a vision for the next 2 to 3 years that this is going to happen. But also, you should not forget that despite the fancy or the glamour of the airline industry, even in cockpits of aircraft which are flying today, the famous floppy disk is still in use to feed the flight management system.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit.
You still have floppy disks when you fly airplanes. All right. Well,
yeah, due to certification.
Well, I mean, airplanes can also disappear, so there are stranger things. Timo, let me ask you. I know that we had also talked about 70% of German Mittelstand, SMEs, do not have IT experts. And you had said that a company like Telefónica could actually serve as the IT experts for these companies. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I mean that sounds like a huge opportunity for any company.
Yeah, it's about IT experts and it's about complexity. That's what we mean. And we did this survey, and the customer says, no, I don't have a dedicated person who's looking after my IT. I don't have a dedicated person who looks after my tariff, after my communication. It's just done by myself, by my organization. And that's something I think where we as Telefónica O2 come in, as it is our task to reduce the complexity, especially for the Mittelstand. I mean, huge companies like Lufthansa, of course, they have IT departments who run all this. But if you go to the Mittelstand, they don't have it. And so they want to concentrate on their core business. Right. And for example, one thing what we're offering them is that they can buy their communication services as they buy electricity. You don't buy electricity per person in your company, but you buy the electricity for your company, and you use so much electricity as you need. And that's exactly the same way how we are operating, that we are saying, forget all these kind of tariffs. Forget if one of your colleagues is going abroad and you need to have a roaming tariff booked. Forget all about this. You just buy a certain kind of pool, and everybody out of this company can use it. And you're just paying what you really use out of this pool. And this is something where many of our customers say, that's very nice, because I can reduce all the complexity with tariff and all these kinds of stuff, but I still can see what is the usage and I can save money. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what we get as a reference, which reduces complexity so that the the companies can really concentrate on their core business.
Yeah.
And that they are interested in.
I mean, you guys are actually becoming the IT department then for a lot of these smaller companies.
I think that telecom and IT, they are growing together.
Right.
And for example, one other thing which really reduces complexity is the German expression is Telefonanlage. If you're in a company, you don't care anymore if you do the conversation via your fixed net or your mobile. Right. You're just speaking to people. And this is something which really grows together and where we are offering to really give it to us, put it in the cloud, in a secure German cloud, and you can integrate all your smartphones into your office nets, and that's something which really helps people to concentrate on their business and not on IT or telecommunication stuff.
Do we have any questions for the gentleman? Well, we've got them here on stage with us. Any questions? I wanted to pick back up on the aviation industry just for a second. We had talked about the Malaysian flight disappearing and how that would fit into our discussion. And there is a logical fit there. The fact that the technology has not been rolled out to record where a plane is all the time when it's out in the ocean. And in the conference call, we had talked about that. And I remember the point was made that kind of explains why a lot of this technology inside airplanes has also not been rolled out as quickly as we would think, because it's expensive and people have just thought, well, they don't need it because they haven't needed it for years. Why would they need it now? But has the disappearance of that Malaysian flight last year, has that changed what airline officials and executives and boards, has that changed their approach towards technology concerning flight safety, but also concerning what's offered to the passengers?
So in regards to flight safety, any accident is a horrible event and is triggering thoughts how to avoid that. I think that is clear. To your question, is it really accelerating maybe also the introduction of this technology? I would say, as far as safety is concerned, yes, definitely. That was always the case. Regarding the passenger, I would have my doubts. Nevertheless, it will go hand in hand. If you have a stable coverage of satellites, this is offering also for safety purposes a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
But the trigger is not so much being felt in the passenger area.
We had a comment made, I think it was on Monday here, someone asking, made the comment, what about smart luggage processes? And I know people always like to make jokes about, luggage getting lost, but what about using mobile technology to ensure that luggage never gets lost?
So I will not make any promise. I was also a victim.
We can't ever get airline guys to make promises about luggage.
No, that is also a very difficult area. But let me share you a little bit what the research is indicating.
Okay.
So there will be indeed suitcases which will be equipped with mobile technology in order really to track them. It's more beyond RFID, because it's not simply something which need to go through gates and stuff like that. It's much more that they are constantly sending signals. Timo, it can be switched off when it's being in the belly, so no need. So technological or technology-wise, this is not a challenge. Will come. Also, will have some cost. But I'm sure it will come.
But what would that look like, Stefan? I mean, will it be built into the luggage, or will it be something
a machine-to-machine chip, for instance, is something which is developed. It's available. Technology is there. It needs to be used or applied to this kind of stuff. But there are also other solutions which are much easier and less costly. For instance, if the simple information, I'm coming back to the mobile devices. If you enter a plane and you're sitting there and you know in advance that your suitcase being lost, you might be angry, but you don't have to wait maybe an hour at the baggage belt.
Right.
Yeah, that is always you are waiting in front of the carousel and waiting until the
doesn't
last
show up.
suitcase is being gone, and then you are being forced to go to the lost and found, and this is a waste of time.
Right.
If you know, okay, my luggage is in the belly, I know it will come out or not, and somebody will take care of. I would feel better, and we are working on solutions like that.
That's great. That's great.
And if I see the
Yep.
speed of the development on M2M solutions,
Yep.
I would say perhaps in a couple of years' time, it will be perhaps normal that every luggage gets these M2M RFID chip to see where it is. And so this is, I mean, this is Internet of Things. This is still a thing which has a lot of opportunities. And I had one of my best meetings I had here at CeBIT was that I spoke to the owner of, you know Bob the Builder?
Bob the Builder.
Yeah, Bob the Builder.
Mm-hmm.
You have kids, yeah? And
But we haven't had him here, though.
yeah, but he's building these machines who are standing in front of shopping centers, where children can sit on. Then you need to insert a €1, and then they're doing these things, and they can drive and these kind of stuff. And we built for him a machine-to-machine solution, and he told me he's running this business since 25 years, and it's the first time that he can see what is the daily income of one machine lifetime, which normally took him the end of the month. When he goes to the machine, collects the money, then he can see what is. And he said that is so fascinating. He really can see what's the income. Is Bob the Builder more successful than Mickey Mouse, for example?
Yeah.
And he really can start steering his business. And he was completely fascinated. And what I liked most is that he told me that it takes only 20 minutes to build this machine-to-machine solution into Bob the Builder. And so it's really easy to do, and it really helps him steering the business. And I think this is an evolution which I think will become more and more normal and will help us to be more successful.
And it kind of takes the surprise out of business too, though, doesn't it?
It can take out the surprise. The thing, what he said is also very fascinating. He said he can also see if a child is sitting on the machine but is not inserting a coin.
Yeah.
And then he has the possibility to speak to the child.
To scare the kid.
Because normally the parents say, the machine is broken.
Right.
And then he can say, no, it's not broken. And try to, of course, increase his business.
Okay, that's a good idea. Any questions? Any questions from the audience? I want to pick up, before we wrap things up, I want to pick up on this idea of being able to take your identity with you. Timo, you brought that up. What about a company like Telefónica pushing that envelope further, allowing us to have let's say, an IT identity that can go with us everywhere, to iTunes, to Facebook, Twitter, or even when we go in, let's say we go into a store, we want to try on a pair of shoes. Something that, whether it be a code, it be a name, something that we can take with us wherever we are, whatever we do. Is that something that is being discussed at Telefónica? Is that something that comes up on the radar with you guys?
Yeah, it's from our side a clear ask, because I mean, if you see these rays of digitalization, I think you can state that we lost the first half. We lost the first half of this race to companies like Google, Amazon, Apple. And I think this doesn't mean, because now in the second half it gets more and more to our industry. It's getting to automotive industry, to manufacturing industry, and so on. And I think what we need to insist in Europe, and that's one of our clear asks, to have a playing level field. So to have the same regulation which applies to companies like Telefónica, but also to our competitors, and apply these regulation to these big platform providers. And regulation sounds a little bit like, oh, we are putting laws on them. But at the end of the day, we are helping people to have their digital identity and to secure their digital identity and to have the rights of my digital identity to take it where I want to take it, but also to delete it if I want to delete it. And that's one of our clear asks, that we shall go for that. And I think the first good step is that we will have in Europe now the data protection how you say, law or regulation, which will simplify the data protection in Europe. I think this is the right way. I think we need to think about in Europe how we want to play digitalization in the second half.
I mean, you bring up a good point about the fact that there are other companies that traditionally have had nothing to do with telecommunications, but are actually becoming your competitors. And isn't it possible that even Lufthansa could become a competitor in certain ways? I mean, the technology is evolving so quickly that the dividing lines
I would first prefer that Lufthansa becomes a customer of us.
Yeah, well, we've been doing deals on Center Stage all week. So if we could maybe bring you guys to the table to do a deal, we'd be happy to do that. but I mean, there's this talk, Jeremy Rifkin also talked about this 2 days ago, that the technology is changing and things are morphing and merging, that the dividing lines between departments, for example, or between certain fields, those dividing lines are fading away. Yeah. Is that something that you talk about? I mean, I asked both of you to comment on that.
I mean, the competition in our companies, I see that, of course, we want to reduce the need of people to travel with all these kind of video conferences, which I think is still far too complex. But I think by having networks which allows you to have a video conference wherever you are, because you have the data pipe to really have these video conferences, I think this is one thing which will come, definitely. And it's just much better to speak to someone and to see him, how he reacts, than just to have him in a call. And I mean, this is the only way where you say people don't need anymore to travel to meet each other. But I don't think that we will have huge competition between our companies.
I would agree. It's not competition, but you are right. So the traditional boundaries, dividing lines, they are changing, and that is also a turning point. How do we understand the customer? Is it my customer, and do I have protect all the data and all interaction, which sometimes hinders in certain industries, companies really to see a value to share data, because the individual might have one or several identities, but I'm not flying. I'm using the air travel example. I'm not flying from Frankfurt to Buenos Aires because I want to sit 16 hours in a plane. I have something to do there, and I'm doing that with business partners. So who is now owner of that traveler? Is it the airline? Is it the hotel? Is it the business purpose maybe? And I think these boundaries or dividing lines, they are definitely fading away somehow. And it's difficult to understand for many companies today that this is a matter of fact and it's going to happen.
Right. And it would be a lot easier to do those 16 hours if you had Wi-Fi in the plane, right? Let me ask you, before we let you go, Stefan, I have to ask you, what about using all of this technology to make pilot strikes a thing of the past?
So we are heavily working on this because we have a wonderful product where also pilots can maybe look at movies which are being offered via Wi-Fi.
That pilots can watch movies, but not while they're flying, right? Yeah, I mean, is that going to come into play at some point where this type of technology could actually make labor relations better, which at the end of the day would reduce strikes?
Jokes aside, I'm not promising that the strikes will disappear by that, but we also think about, we have spoken about B2B, so the backend system. We have been speaking about B2B2C, so pleasing the customer, and also the individuals, the crew members. B2B2E is an important focus of our activities here. You are right. Also, these colleagues, they can make use of the mobile technologies, pleasing the customer better. Really don't use paper anymore if there is a complaint because the seat is not working or somebody is expressing a certain wish. So you immediately can use mobile devices to store it, to transfer it. In operations areas, you also can enable maintenance companies to take care for predictive maintenance.
Yeah.
If something is broken, you can immediately in the air type in what's going wrong or inadequate, and you can really make life also for the crews a lot easier.
Okay, very good. Any questions for the gentlemen before we say goodbye to them? Any more questions? Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the discussion, and let's hope that there are no more strikes to deal with, Stefan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.